to Electrician Live with your host, Paul Abernathy and Jay Grunberg.
Hey, good evening, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Electrician Live. And forget all the crap that just happened at the intro. I have no idea what happened. As you can imagine, I have had all kinds of problems today with everything going on. Because why, Jay? Because I did, guess what? I did an update right before the show. What do you think? Yeah. Should not do updates before the show.
It makes sense.
Yeah. I should not do updates before the show. Everybody, welcome to the show. My name is Paul Abernathy. With me is my co-host, Jay Grunberg. Welcome, Jay.
What's up,
welcome
everybody?
to the show. So, Christmas is come and gone. You know, it's one of those things. I'd like to think it's come and gone, gone, over with, out the door. And we can look forward to whatever now we want to look forward to. Nick, notice Nick got his screwdriver, flashlight, and stickers today. You're most welcome, Nick. Thank you for the donation over on the website. Yeah. So I was able to get that out to you. So, and my screen changers aren't working as normal because I did an update. So welcome. Good news is I ain't got to change any screens when I do this, Jay. So we can just do this.
Hey. It looks like you're in outer space right now.
I am. I'm just floating. Just floating in outer space. For those that are over on the podcast, you have no idea what we're doing. You need to come over to the live stream, which is over on youtube.com/Master the NEC, and join us for the live chats that takes place over here on our YouTube channel. So check it out again. So what else is new? We got a great show. Got a great show for you tonight. It's going to be, as I'm sitting here trying to, oh my God, all kinds of screens are starting up on me. Jay,
well, let me tell you
You go on and start the show. It's about starting a new business. You go on and start it while I.
Yeah, well, we've got some people in the room. Joe asked. He said, "Where's the videos from Jay's party last week?" It was a gathering or whatever, but yes, it was a company party, man. We had a blast. Let me tell you a little bit about it. I'll make it short and sweet. We showed up to my project manager's house, Chris, where we held the event. It's his new house. He has an upper level and a basement. And so we had casino night. And the casino guys brought in 3 tables. We had a roulette table, a craps table. Those 2 are in the basement. And then we had blackjack that was on the main level, where all the adult beverages were and all the food. Actually, it was catered by Dickies, which was amazing.
Yeah. Try.
So right from 3:30, 4 o'clock when we got there, I made sure I got plenty of food in my belly, and it was a great night. We did casino night for 3 hours. We did a few giveaways. One guy won.
You know why he wanted food in his belly? Because he knew he was going to be drinking.
Oh,
so he's like, I ain't going to drink on an empty stomach.
That's for the 10 years ago I would have done something like that and would have been silly,
ago.
But we had a good time. Videos didn't really take many, but it was a good time. People won. They won. 2 people won 55-inch screen TVs. One person won a pair of AirPods Pros. So
tell you what. Jay's parties was
Milwaukee
rock.
gloves.
They're giving away TVs and AirPods and all kinds of stuff. That's it. and if it looks like Jay has a little more light on him this time and he's not in the dark, it's because Electrical Code Academy sent him a little something so he can get a little bit of light on him.
That's right.
A little bit of light, not too much light, just a little bit more light on him. And what I did was I sent him one of these, and he just sits it on the table in front of him. No, I sent him some light kits and things like that. Okay, so let's see. What are we going to talk? What's tonight's topic?
Well, tonight we're going to get into talking about starting up an electrical business.
Starting up electrical business, some of the things to think about, things that you might encounter, and we'll kind of go from there.
Yeah.
So, Jarrett, thanks for coming. Joe, I see you in here. Elwood, of course, Nick
Elwood.
in here. Thank you all for coming tonight. So, Jay, let's talk a little bit about starting up a business. So, first thing I will say that everybody gets an opportunity to go over to electricianlive.com. Over on electricianlive.com, you'll actually see, and again, things are acting all kinds of wonky here on my screens. God, it's going to be one of those nights, Jay. I can't even. I lost all of the chat folks on the screen. So it looks like it's going to be one of those nights. Moral of the story. And how many times have you guys heard me do this? Don't update your software right before a show, right? I mean, I've said that I don't know how many times before, and I ended up doing it. So in 2021, I promise, one of my resolutions, and we got a show about New Year's resolutions, it is going to be that I am not updating software before a show. That's one of my first ones. All right, so let's think about starting a business. It's assuming, Jay, that when you're starting the business, first off, that you've got your licenses and you already are able to actually, whether you have your masters or whatever, you're in a state like Ohio where you don't have a journeyman, you go straight to a contractor's license. Assuming you do that, and now you want to start thinking about building your business and some of the things that you need to think about in building your business. What's one of the first things that you think you would think about? I mean, barring the fact that you have to have your license. Okay, so you got to have a license and you got to have a master's license. And at that point, some of the things you have to start thinking about. And one of the first ones that I got written down for me is, when you're just sitting around and you're thinking, I want to start a business, things like that. One of the things you're thinking about is, what am I going to call my business? Yeah. Right? What am I going to call it? Keep it short, sweet. Is it going to be complicated like Wired Up Electrical Design LLC, or is it going to be short like just Wired Up? Is it going to be, for me, is it Electrical Code Academy Incorporated or ECA, or is that acronyms, or Abernathy Electrical Services, which is a mouthful? Or
say a lot of people use their last names. I see a lot of people's last names, More Electric, things like that. I've seen wire to wire. You got to be careful too that you look and make sure that you're not trying to get someone else's. The state will let you know though when you go in there and fill out the paperwork. They'll tell you whether or not it's
already taken
or not. Yeah, but for the most part, you're right. You got to get your license, your insurance. You got to have what I have. I think is $1 million coverage.
Well, liabilities, but let's stick with the name real quick, and we'll move to the insurances and stuff. So the name, a couple things I've got written down is make it either unique, make it relevant, make it positive. Okay, you don't want to have a name of your company. We burn it down electric. Say, you want to be positive. Again, make it easy to understand. Short, sweet is the best course of action. Of course, you do whatever you want. That's the beauty of it. It's your business. You're starting your business. But that's some of the things that I set around when I was thinking of my businesses. Is just thinking, okay, all right, I already know, like you said, Jay, I already know that I'm going to have to get this registered with the state. I'm going to have to get my licenses. I'm going to have insurance and all those type of things. I get that. But when you're sitting around drinking a beer or something and you're thinking about starting this or going into this thing, I mean, it helps to go in and have a name. What you want. Okay. Sure. So, Electrician Live Electric. Okay. So we've got our name and that's what we want to do. So we picked our name. The next thing you have to really decide is, are you going to, before the insurances, I'm just talking about things to think about. Are you going to be working out of your house? are, you're going to start that way, or are you going in business with somebody else and y'all are just going to go and get a storage shed to put stuff in, but you're still kind of working your business out of your house? That's how I got started years ago when I did my electrical contracting. I worked out of the house. You can progress, but you want to take baby steps. So maybe you want to work out of the house, make sure that your significant other is okay with that, because if you work out the house, things you're going to be doing your billing and all this kind of stuff there. So it can get kind of, unless you have a space to do that. So think about your space, whether you actually have a separate bedroom or something, a basement office or somewhere that you're going to be able to operate, going to operate this business out of, that type of thing.
Yeah.
Right. Something to think about. Also, again, before we get into your realm of, insurances and things like that, but I'm still just thinking of things that I think about when I'm deciding to go into business, and is a business plan. Where do I want to be? Okay. You can just say, I'm just going to start and then just pray that it works. Or you can say, all right, I need a business plan. In my first 6 months, this is what I'm going to tackle. This is what I'm going to try to, this is the market I want to go after. Do you want to do a little of everything, or do you want to target it? Do you want to be a service guy? Do you want to be residential? Do you want to get into commercial? If you have no background in commercial, it might be tougher. Those type of things. So you need to identify what you want to do. If you've worked somewhere as a PV electrician and you want to get in, but you want to break in doing PV with the understanding that you're going to add other things like residentials and stuff like that, that's okay. Maybe the PV, but what you're familiar with is maybe your entry in, and then you can expand. But you got to have a plan up front. What you want to target. That way you don't just say, "Hey, I'm just going to open my business, and then that's it." No.
Yeah, and that's when we went in. It was, as you know, basements. That's why the title Basement King actually really fits, and it's actually where I started my business at, was doing basements. But
you don't do just regular. You don't do just any regular basements. I mean, the basements you do are, nice type of high end basement applications, right? So
yeah, we've cycled through the contractors, that's for sure, to get to the point to where we're at. But when we first started, it was a prayer, man. It's funny you say that, because it really was a prayer. We took our money we had saved up for rent, and we invested it into a basement. So I'll get into that a little later on. But it's funny how you say that. Where are you going to go? What's going to be your niche?
Mm-hmm.
What's going to be the area that you're going to target? Is it just going to be you that's tackling these projects? Or who's coming along with you? Who's jumping on that boat with you to take that journey to the other side? So my wife did it with me.
Yeah, she took that journey with you. So, yeah, I mean, that's kind of one of those things you have to think about, when you're in business. Or you're also, the other thing that I tell people have to think about is your support chain. Are you doing this alone? Are you going to be doing this with somebody? You're going to be making that leap? I mean, you could have a comfortable job somewhere, and you're thinking of making that leap into a small business, which you hope turns into a larger business again. So you're thinking about taking that leap. And at the end of the day, are you going to be doing this leap alone, or are you going to be doing it with somebody's support? You had a support structure. When I started, I had a support structure. Of course, I started out with my brother. I mean, my brother started together. We were both electricians. So that's how I started. Though. Huh?
What better way to start than with like a brother or a son? I always think about my son, and he rebels right now. He's 14. He kind of wants to do what dad does.
Mine's 22. Yeah, he rebels. Yeah, no doubt.
He doesn't. But I have a feeling that instead of, and no offense to those out there that flip burgers at Burger King, I've done it once. I have a feeling he's going to want to put on the tool belt and maybe come hang out with Dad. I'm hoping.
One day. One day he might. Most definitely he might. So support structure is important. Do you have support there in order to take that leap? The other thing, and we're not even talking about the things that you need to get local licensing, local building permits, business licenses and things like that. We're still talking about things that you have to think about. You have to process.
Yeah.
The other part of it is financially. If you're gonna leave a job to start your own thing, are you prepared to sustain yourself for 6 months to even a year, because that's what it could take to get started. It could take to get into it where it's actually paying is actually giving you some kind of income to help sustain you. You're gonna have to have some money to be able to start up. And in your case, I think you put your life savings in it, or whatever. What did you do? How did you get started monetarily?
I took away. I started on the first, and I started basement, and I roughed it within about a week because it was just myself. Got the inspection done within a week, and that funded the project. It was probably about $1,200 worth of material, gas, going back and forth, the labor to pay myself as well. And then the contractor actually paid, and they paid on time. So then we were able to put that money away, then use a little bit more savings, and then eventually we got into a financial plan. But as we'll go into, it's a little harder trying to, and it's something you got to think about too, is when you go into business, banks don't want to give you money unless you're established.
Right.
And if you're very new, you are not established yet. You are trying to become established. And that's why you have to think about all these ideas that you're talking about. You don't want to just do one project and then turn back around and go work for the guy again.
Right.
And so I'm all done. I'm out. No, you want to give it a little bit of time. So
how'd you get time? And but when you started, you funded this yourself with no other help outside. So because you couldn't get anything from the bank. So you were working for somebody else, and you just decided, you know what, I need to do this for myself. That type of thing.
Yeah. So I was doing side work with my master's license. Wasn't a contractor that I was doing with my master's license. So I was kind of going under people's homeowners permits, helping do service work on the side. So I was establishing myself at an hourly rate, but I was also doing basements with this one company. And I would advertise through Craigslist. I'd get hits, and then I would go back out. I did have some money in the bank, but it was from personal loans.
Okay.
So I did have a little bit of money saved up, but I did not go into it with anybody else, just my wife and I. And we funded it. We got paid. We made sure we got paid, and then it just kept rolling. Again, service work, I didn't know if I was going to be out all day, if I was going to be out for 4 hours a day, if I was going to be out for 10 hours a day. I was taking whatever calls I could get. I'd get a call from a lady, hey, my bathroom receptacles aren't working. When can you get to it? I can get to it now, like right now. Boom. And I would go and do those service calls. And so, again, I didn't have a set schedule because I really didn't know my schedule at the time.
Right. Well, Jay, I don't know if you're monitoring the chat, but obviously my updates didn't keep the updates. So those that are watching probably didn't get the updates because my update is not updating. Obviously, it's got some issues on my end. And again, like I tell people all the time, there's no sense in updating something in the middle of something. So again, obviously, nothing like screwing up a show. But if you're watching the chat, keep an eye on the chat because again, I should not have updated it.
Well, Martin kind of goes on what I was saying is you need money to make money. It's the fuel. And it is. It's actually, that's the way you have to start off. You have to have something to rely on. Again, service is a great way, especially in the beginning, because you can do time and material.
Yeah.
And then once you're done with that service, and hopefully it's done that day, you get paid that day right away. Boom, boom. Whether it's cash, whether it's check, or whether it's a Square reader, some sort of credit card reader. So.
Right. So again, you can start out small, but the point is, starting a business, you're going to have some type of, you're going to have some type of money. You're going to have to be able to sustain yourself. Now, a lot of people will have a full-time job and they'll start doing a little bit, on the side. And we've talked about side work and different, opinions of that and other shows. But at the end of the day, in order to figure out how I'm going to get from point A to point B, you're going to have some monetary there to be able to help you sustain it. Whether or not you're doing the side work and you're putting away on the side and saving it for when you want to start your business. Because ultimately, the next thing you'll have to do is decide the structure of your company. It's going to be either a sole proprietorship. It's going to be either a partnership if you got somebody with you. It could be a corporation, like my company's a corporation. And, different ways to do it, but you'll have to decide the structure. Most people, I think, when they start out, they just start out as a sole proprietor,
Sure.
which tax reasons passes straight on to you, that type of thing. But again, you'll get to a point where you'll have to make that decision. But starting out, most people just start out as a simple sole proprietorship. And they do it that way. So that takes us to the next step. So you'll have to decide the business structure that you want to have, right? So you have your name, you decide where you're going to do this in your house, a rental unit for storage, and still work out of your house, billing. You're going to do it on your own, or it also helps for some people to know that if you have somebody who wants to take that journey with you. Now, you have a family member is one thing. For me, it was me and my brother. You might know another electrician or another helper who might want to take that journey with you. And again, maybe you don't have the thought of you want to be the single person. Maybe you're like, okay, I don't have a problem with a partner. And again, you can still make great money being a partner. Two people, share the burden, and you grow it from there. The problem you have to worry about is same as me with my brother. We have two different visions of where we wanted the company to go. He wanted to go one way, and I wanted to go another way, right? So again, you become that thing, and you've got to think about how that structure is going to be. So you decided you want to go into business. You picked a name. You've determined that you have the financial wherewithal to be able to sustain yourself for 6 to 8 months to even a year. You saved that money up, or you got a loan from somebody, or somebody's helped you. Maybe you had good credit. Maybe you did it on credit cards. Hey, all of us have had to do those type of things. So you've done it. Now you're ready. What else do you need to do now? So once you have established your name, now you want to go with your local jurisdiction and get a fictitious name. You want to make sure you get your name squared away so that your name that you can use in business in your community. Obviously, if you're going to go with a corporation, all that type of stuff, you got to send away to your state and get your corporate name and all this kind of stuff. Once you have your name, if you do a corporation, then you'll get what's called a bank. I can't remember the name of it, but it's what you use to take the bank so that you open up a bank account in your name. So you can do it with a business license from the locality or whatnot, but you'll need to open up a business banking account. Yeah. And you can get some that are paying, and then you can get some that are free, depending on how many checks you write or whatnot. But you need to establish a checking account so that you can put all your money in there, make it easy. Don't do like I've done for years and kind of get it muddy between your personal account and your banking account, because I've been known to do that. That makes you just have to keep records so much cleaner to be able to separate. So it's much easier if I'm doing electrical contracting to try to keep the business stuff separate, right?
Sure.
And if you put money into it, keep track of that, obviously, because you're going to pay yourself back. Okay. It's owed to you. You're putting it into business, but at some point, if you do well enough, you can pay yourself back. And then you got to have your insurances. Now I have, my electrical contracting portion of my company, that I still have. I have Next Insurance. It's just a cheap electrical contracting. It costs me $35 a month. That's it. Some people, it's quite expensive for the insurance, depending on the vehicles and the number of people. I imagine, Jay, with the vehicles and the people, those type of things, it's quite expensive. I don't know what your insurance is. I don't know if you care to share, but I would think that it's not, it's not cheap.
No, I don't think it is, but I couldn't really tell you. That's the wife's portion of it.
Okay, good. He delegates that. He delegates that out.
I delegate that, but I will tell you how I got my insurance, lady, was before I started my business, I was working for a guy, Leroy, who his company name was CK Electrical Design, and the CK were the initial of his kids.
Oh,
So
okay.
then that's where we came up with wired up. My wife did. She says, wired up. Everything has to be wired up. We're always talking about it. Incorporate that. And I said, okay, well, we could do like wired up electric, wired up services. But then I asked my buddy, I said, hey man, I'm very like drawn into the electrical design portion of your business. Do you mind if I use that on mine? And he says, no, not at all. So that's where the wired up electrical design came in. And not only did I did I use that, he was telling me about his insurance lady, Twyla, who we reached out to. And after 6 years, I hardly talked to Leroy. He's, I might see his stuff at a supply house in the will call rack here and there. But that's about as our communication. But come back around, I did get my insurance lady through him, and she's been the greatest thing. So it's crazy how that works, and we've always stuck with her. We've been offered lower rates just to switch over. But again, you want to stay established. So if you're with an insurance person, I call her my insurance lady because she's awesome. I'm going to stick with her until I need to be forced out of it if
Sure.
need be. But
Sure.
yep, just stick with it.
So you have to pick, you have to get insurance. Don't think you can do a bunch of work for very long. And of course, if you start getting to the point, again, we're still kind of touching the iceberg here. But if you start getting any work where you're going to be on projects, they're probably going to require workers' comp. And they're going to want workers' comp because if you're single and you're working by yourself, you don't need workers' comp if it's just you. But if you start to move up and get a little bit bigger jobs or a little more established jobs, things like that, they're going to probably ask for it. And it's not expensive to get the workers' comp. And again, if you do something like Next Insurance, what I use, or anybody, they can do it instantly, and then you can always share it with anybody. But, you don't need that right away if it's just going to be you, as long as you have the insurance, and then wait for them to come to you and ask for, workers' comp.
Sure.
Workers' comp's really to protect other people. I mean, if it's just you and you're out of work, it's you. You have insurance, hopefully, for that. The other big thing that people have to think about, Jay, is if you work for somebody, and again, I'm not here to throw the negatives. I'm here we're here to give you all the things that you have to think about on starting a business. So it's not always going to be what you want to hear, but health insurance. So you work for somebody, you have a health insurance. And if you got family and you got kids, so this is a big step for you, Jay. So y'all, if you coming over into the business, now you have to have health insurance. And so, again, I will be the first to say that the first couple of years in my business, I had no health insurance. Couldn't afford it. We were starting it out. It was the last thing on my mind when we were starting out. I shouldn't say first couple of years, about a year into it, then we were obviously doing well enough to do it. But starting up, that was the furthest thing from my mind. And I was actually lucky enough when I was young enough that I was still under my parents' policy when I started my company. So I still had that part that if somebody said, how'd you get hurt? Oh, I'm on their insurance. Were you working? No. But, it's things you have to think about. If you're trying to open up your business and you work for somebody else and you're leaving and now you lose that health insurance, you got to think about it. And, we have this thing called the Affordable Health Care Act. We have this affordable health care that it's affordable, but the deductible is so high, it's not really worth it. So again, it's kind of one of those things that politicians play with, the word affordable. Yeah, it's affordable for you to pay it each month until you have to use it. Then it's not, it's not really affordable because the deductible is so high, right? So Is it even worth it? But it's a peace of mind, I guess, because if it's a catastrophic event, then it probably is worth it. So even a $10,000 deductible, if you get hurt and you're in the hospital and you're in there for a week, it could be $200,000, $300,000. I guess $10,000 a deductible ain't that bad, So it's all relative that you have to think about. So you think about those insurances and think about what you're going to do with that. Again, insurance for your company to do electrical work is fairly cheap. If it's just you and you're starting out, Next Insurance, there's a bunch of different ones that you can get insurance from pretty quick, almost instantly. If you need it, that type of thing. So Jay, where are we at on this? So we're starting our business. Oh, work. You got to know that you got some work. If you want to start and you have nothing, it's okay, but then you're going to drive yourself crazy there when the phone doesn't ring, which means also thinking about, are you going to have a business cell phone? Are you going to be using your personal and just sharing that number? And then you lose that personalness. So again, I tell people all the time, if you do that, go on and use your cell phone, but go on and get a Google Voice phone number or something else and use that as your phone number for your business. The only problem is you got to remember that you'll lose that possibly when you go to do it. So think about how you do that. Again, you want to be able to use something. The other thing that might sound crazy, but I think that in today's world, everybody should immediately have a website, or even if it's a 1-page or 2-page or something very basic. I say if you establish your name, go out and try to get a hold of as many social medias that you can. All right, we have somebody else now playing around with names again, and it is true. Having great office staff and a better half that actually keeps things running. That's right. That's the most important part there.
Gotta have a great office staff.
Gotta have a great office staff.
Tara, is it? I think it's Tara. Side work savings. Yeah, I mean that's a good way to do it. But eventually, like we're talking about, when do you do that transition from side work, where maybe you are working for someone full time, to now that side work becomes
full time? I mean, that's your job.
There is no side work. Like I get guys that work for me and they say, "Man, I got a side job. You want to come help me out?" And I'm like, "Man, I don't really do side work anymore. I have all this other work." Or they'll give me work. They'll say, "Hey, I can't get to this job. I don't want to do any side work. Do you want to take it on, boss man?" And I'll say, "Well, email me over. Let's take a look at it." And then what their side work then becomes my actual income. So
sure. I think your better half has been exposed on here by Joe.
Oh yeah, have a good accountant.
No. Hello, Miss Grunberg.
Oh yeah.
She's done jacked your account. So there you go.
That's right, man.
So yeah. So again, just making sure that you have, all those things lined up in the thought about it. The next, again, where is your business coming from? Now, it's great. Most of the time when people think about starting a business, it's because they have some lead into that. Like, again, they're doing a lot of side work, or they have somebody that comes along and says, "Hey, I'm a builder. I'd like you to do some these additions for me, or I'd like you to do these basements, or I'd like you to do these, apartments or whatever." And you're like, "Damn, I'm working for somebody else, but I could do that." Right? And that's when they just start. If it's beautiful if that happens to you, right? You're just thinking, somebody comes along and says, "Hey, you know what? I don't like this guy you're working for." But you're the guy that's always there doing the work, electrician. Tell you what, and if you get the lucky somebody come along and want to set you up like that, there you go. All you got to do is follow the steps. Make sure you're qualified, make sure you have a license that allows you to do it, get registered with the state, get your business license, get your insurances. He's going to set you up. So if I was doing that, I'd probably have a credit card. I'm thinking, shoot, I'll float this first building or first basement on a credit card until he pays me, and hope that he pays me. And then you get the ball rolling and they get more work. Yeah. But what I tell people all the time is don't get complacent. If you get one person that wants you to do some work, you need to always be thinking about the next job, right? Because you need to stay busy. So don't get one and say, "Oh, I've got one. I'll worry about the next one." No, while you're doing that one, you need to be thinking about what the next project you'll be doing. You'll be hustling for the next thing. So that brings me into the next thing is advertising. How do you advertise? There's going to be a lot. Once you get out there and you start putting out your web page, and I don't know if you knew this, Jay. You probably knew I have a web page design for electricians. It's just bare bones, like 5 pages to get you going on the internet, get you live. We have a service that I help people out on our website. Just go to services. You'll see it there on masterthenec.com. It gets you your domain. It helps you set up the domain and get all that going. And that helps you, establish your presence on the internet type of thing. You need to make sure that whatever your name is you want to use, that you do as quickly as possible. Gather the Twitter account, gather the LinkedIn account, your Facebook account. Yep. Try to establish those business accounts or those accounts as quick as you can so they're yours. And you have them sitting, whether you want to use them right away or not, have them sitting. And then just start promoting yourself on everything. Like I've said before, when it comes to things like advertising, you don't have to spend a fortune, but you've got to be diligent about it. Cheapest thing you can get is business cards, right? You can give them out like water. When I go Vistaprint, I get mine made, and that type of thing. And as Ms. Grunberg states, reviews are important nowadays. People are looking for reviews. So you go to do a job or something, don't be afraid to ask them to give you a Yelp review or some kind of review. That does mean that since you're your boss now, if you were a guy that worked for somebody else and you were that mouthy person on the job, cussing all the time, now you're working for yourself, right? So now you go to a project, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, what would you like done, ma'am, that type of thing. You don't need to be dropping F-bombs on somebody's house or whatnot and then ask them to give you a review. How's that going to be? Yeah, that ain't going to go over well. You're the bottom line now. So for many people that go into business for themselves, they have to grow up really quickly or you'll starve really fast.
That's right.
So reviews are good. Get your Yelp account. Get it out there. If you live in a community that has the Nextdoor app, like I live in a Nextdoor, and it's got 6 or 7 different communities, a lot of times you can't advertise your business on there because it's against the terms of service, but it doesn't mean that your significant other can't refer you, even though it's not her, it's not their business. So Mr. Grunberg could go on a Nextdoor app and say, I recommend my husband. He's a great electrician in the company. And that wouldn't be a violation because that's a recommendation. You couldn't do it. Now, some of them now has business pages. They can do business pages, but most of the time they won't. Point being, there's a lot of things you can do. Craigslist. I think you said you did some Craigslist stuff.
Craigslist was a big one for me because
you gotta be careful today on Craigslist.
Well, you
just
do.
Where you go.
And when you get the emails back and you start seeing the lingo and terminology, and maybe you might throw a few questions out there to them as well, like, hey, what type of work are we doing? What's the schedule? What's the hours? What's the pay? Because they might post, hey, I need an electrician for 2 days to help with some wiring. Mm-hmm. Okay, well, what type of wiring? Are we doing residential wiring? Are we doing commercial wiring? What's the system that we're going into? Or you might get calls back from an ad that you put out on Craigslist, and they call you, hey, Jay, I seen you're doing electrical services. I need a guy for 2 days. And then you start talking to him, and you can kind of get a sense and of if this individual, sounds like he knows what he's talking about. Has he been doing it for a while? What's his situation? Why is his other electrician not doing it? Because usually
That sounds like you're getting that. I'm thinking when I did it, I got homeowners. They didn't have a clue. I need a receptacle added here. I need this added here. I bought a hot tub and I need it wired up. You sound like you have business people contacting. For me, I was getting, when I had Craigslist ads, I was getting individuals who wanted this or that or this or that or this or that. Small stuff, not big stuff, right?
Ron Bo with the donation.
Ron Bo, is he in the house? He's in the house. Ron Bo's in the house.
Ron Bo, Tim.
Yep, Tim. See Tim in the house. Thank you.
Nick.
So advertising. Again, I keep it. What's that old thing we say today? We talked about keep it simple, stupid. But you kids said you called it something more politically correct. Keep it simple.
Silly. Yeah, because I had my 1-year-old daughter with me. I don't want her rocking around.
Yeah, we don't want her saying stupid.
Hey, Dad, you're stupid. Oh, well, thanks.
Dad, you're stupid. Don't worry, it happens. I get called stupid most of the time from my son, so it's all good. So advertising, but again, don't feel like you have to spend a fortune. But I will tell you, on Yelp, they will hound you to try to subscribe to them. Home Advisor, all those other things. Oh. Be careful.
Yeah.
Can they make you something? Yes, but again, you're going to be a bunch of people trying to bid on a job, and it's still going to cost you for the click anyway. It's still going to cost you, so just be careful. On Yelp, using the free account, once you get it up, I probably turn down 4 to 5 service calls a week. I just don't have the time for it. Right? I just don't. But it can range from anything like I want a bunch of luminaires hung, or I want a panel change, or I'm adding a hot tub and I need to power out there, or do it something like that I just don't have that much time for anymore to do. Still got the electrical contracting business, but again, Electrical Code Academy now with the number of students we have, I am grading almost full time when I'm not at my at Encore. So it's a constant that I don't have the time that much, because now the company's gotten to the point where we've had a wonderful 2020. So we have so many students that I actually have to stay focused in the courses all the time that it's just easier for that. I have to do that. But hey, Merry Christmas, Rambo. 26th, the day after. We were just talking about we're glad it's over with. And I did hear about the explosion in Nashville. Sorry to hear that. But I did hear about the RV that exploded down there. So that's terrible, tragic. I don't know the news, because one of my New Year's resolutions, which I've already started early, Jay, is that I am not watching the news. So I don't even turn on the news. So I saw it somewhere, but I don't watch the news. And that's how I'm going to go in 2021. But we're going to save that for our New Year's resolution.
I was going to say, that's a teaser.
Yeah. So, guys, if you want to know what our future shows are, go watch them, because, again, this was just we're talking about starting a business, but we have some structured shows that are coming. Go over to electricianlive.com and check it out. You can see what we got coming in the next couple weeks. So let's kind of get back to the business thing. So, all right. So
when I did advertising, I actually went after Craigslist. I got turned on to a thing called Thumbtack. I think it's changed quite a bit.
But it's expensive
from before to now. Well,
when it first started, it wasn't so bad.
You were only getting charged, I believe, for projects that you were rewarded. There was some time where that was it. Now you're fighting. Now that they've grown and gotten a little bigger, I think it's a little more cutthroat on their end. But when I started, I was getting jobs left and right. But again, when you go into this and it's you yourself, you pretty much create your own schedule, and that can be good or bad. The bad thing is you can get lazy. And you can get discouraged, and you might want to rethink things. I remember I started, and then I went back to someone, and then I went back out again after about 2 weeks of working for him, going, man, why am I not doing these hot tub hookups on my own? Why am I making this guy this money when I have all the credentials, everything set up, just didn't have the courage to go and do it all the way.
Yeah, so you could still be your own boss and set it up, but then keep the business in limbo and go back and work for somebody else. And
sure, you can.
You're just not making any money in your company, so it's not looking like you're making any money. But that doesn't mean you can't just go and work for somebody else. So you can have this in and out. That way, it kind of reduces some of the stress
as well. Well, yeah, it reduces the stress, but also you've already established that business name. So now you're putting. You're hitting milestones on it, maybe a first year. Maybe you are working for someone else, but you still have wired up as a business, and it's been open for a year. So now you got to go through another year or two until you can ask the bank. I want to say it's about 2 years before I asked them for some type of financial help. But
2 years, probably about true. The other thing that I will tell you is that if you're starting up and you want to, the key about starting up on your own is you're not going to make a fortune, right? Unless you have somebody that immediately says here. And I know guys that got thrown in their lap subdivisions. They work for somebody else, and then the builder or the developer said, nope, I want you. And the guy literally left the company and went and started his own. And he went from working for somebody else to automatically he was just doing subdivisions, okay, with houses going up all the time, and he grew rapidly. You might not want that, okay? That's kind of, you're going to have those growing pains are going to hit you early because you're going to have overhead burdens, things that you weren't aware of. You're going to make mistakes. You could get in trouble, right? Sure. But one of the other things to help you out if you want to start gradually and do your own business is where you buy your supplies. So, for example, I buy most of my supplies, if I did anything today, would be Home Depot. Now, I like Lowe's too, but Home Depot, I get a benefit. If I do at Home Depot, I get this app, and it's called Pro Referral. And every piece of equipment I buy there, I earn points. So you can get jobs through it. So I remember it was just before I stopped. It was just like last year. Yeah, I was getting tons of it. But again, it's all relevant. In other words, you've got to buy stuff to get points. But if you're buying your supplies there, then you're getting the points. And the points are going to go towards you getting a referral. So it might cost you 60 points to hang a ceiling fan. Okay, well, it might cost me 60 points, but if I buy that ceiling fan for them from Home Depot, and I buy my supplies for that job from Home Depot, then I'm getting points for that, but it costs me points to go do the job, right?
Yes.
So again, it's the one hand washes the other type of thing. I go to the supply house very little, but when I was a contractor, I did it all the time. But I could find great deals at Lowe's or Home Depot for certain things. And a lot of times for non-metallic sheath cable, the supply house can't beat the price at Home Depot or Lowe's because that's called a lost leader for them. They're just giving that away to get your other business. Yeah. So again, but you're going to get your points for it.
And you can apply through Home Depot pretty easy for their card, their commercial card.
Yep.
And they give you an allowance, I don't know, maybe $5K to start, maybe $3K. And again, that's $3K.
Perfectly enough to do a rough-in, you know.
Yeah, I mean, you could do a rough-in. You could go and do like service if maybe you go to a project and it's a bad GFCI and you need to change it out. Okay, well, I got this card. Mm-hmm. I can go and spend, $50, $25, whatever it is. Boom, boom, take it back. You're done. Now you're not mixing.
And you're getting points.
And you're getting points. Exactly.
So that's great. I know people's business model that works very well with that Home Depot thing. That type. And if you buy a big purchase for yourself, like a dryer or a washing machine or whatever, you still get the points. Yeah. So, that's kind of why I started. That's why I started buying there versus Lowe's. That was just me. So that was just kind of one of my reasons. That's just one way. The other way that I found very popular, and I'll just throw this one, we'll get off of advertising, because again, you're thinking about these things as a business, and you're thinking, what can I do to get my business going? You've followed all the rules that we talked about earlier, done your thing. Now you're thinking, well, I used to take, and you've probably heard me talk about this, I used to take a map of the area, and I would pick areas that I would want to target was density and age of the locations, because I focused on service work. I focused on wanting to do service work because I hated the battle of bidding jobs, the small projects where they're going to nickel and dime me for these spec houses type of thing, right? So I would find an area, and I used Vistaprint or other local printing at the time, and I printed up a door hanger, and I would hit a neighborhood on a day that was light, and I would be hanging door hangers, and I would give a discount off the bottom. It was like my business card. They could rip it off. And I was giving discounts, and I was, marketing myself. And, again, that's a great plug for a CMECP, Certified Master Electrical Code Professional. If you're the only one in your area and you put that on there, you're the Certified Master Electrical Code Professional, then, and you're the one out there doing it, you have a good chance that they'll take that flyer and give you a call. Now, if it says no soliciting, don't solicit. But again, if I put it on there, what are you going to do? Put me in jail for that? Maybe you will. Maybe you won't. I don't care. I take that risk. But I'm hitting that neighborhood. And so I used to have an aerial map, and I would actually highlight areas that I was going to target. And if you are too good to do that, and you're trying, if you're trying to start your own business, man, you'll do just about anything. Okay. I had a situation where my son or I would hire somebody to go and do it per flyer. Okay? Now, you got to trust them because they could take them and just dump them in the trash. But if you trust somebody, they will go hit that neighborhood, or I might ride out there with them, get them out of the car, and I'm physically watching them while I go one way or whatever. How quickly you can knock the neighborhood out. You want to give it a test? Do the neighborhood you live in. And do your neighborhood and see if you get the calls. Okay, do all the things. You should be able to do advertising without costing you a fortune. Business cards and Vistaprint won't cost you a fortune. Flyers on Vistaprint actually now won't cost you a fortune. Nice little, and they look like door hangers. Nice. Craigslist. There's also other things on your phone that you can use now. Different ones like bunch of different sales apps, things where you can sell things. And you're, as long as you make sure it's okay for a service, because sometimes they just don't want to thing. Also on your Facebook will have local neighborhoods. So the neighborhood marketplace, make sure you get on the marketplace. Doesn't cost you anything. And you can put your ads on there. That type of thing. Better Business Bureau, getting part of that. Or your local Chamber of Commerce. Reach out to them. A lot of times they'll let you have an ad, or they'll do a story on a new business or a new company, and you get that advertisement out there for that. So look for I always make it, how there's people clip coupons and they try to see how much you can take out the store by clipping the coupons. I used to do kind of the same thing with advertising. How much advertising can I get that costs me very little? Yep. Right? So when I'd get a job off of a business card, and I told you what I used to do, didn't I? I told you that I used to go to Lowe's and Home Depots and actually take my business cards and slide them in the luminaires, in the luminaire aisle. I know it sounds kind of cheesy, right? But I used to put them in there, and I got some projects off of that. But when I was in the parking lot, I used to actually take my business cards, and when I parked somewhere, and my guys were never too proud to stick a business card inside of the little seal on the window, right there where the door handle is, and stick it in there, kind of slip it in the seal, so they see that when they're pulling the door handle open. Don't be afraid to do it. Get your business card. It's the cheapest form of advertising you can get. Get it out everywhere. Give it out like it's water. You'd be surprised. If you have a truck, magnet mounts, cheap. You can get magnet mounts from Vistaprint, cheap. And I'm not doing a commercial for Vistaprint, but
sounds
very
like you are.
Cheap. Yeah, it sounds like I am, aren't I? Very cheap. But, you put them on the back of your truck, whether you got just a F-150 or whatever you're working out of, little van or whatever, put it on the back. Everybody's going to see it when you stop at that stoplight. And that's motivation for you not to try to make it through every red light, every yellow light. Just stop. Damn thing could be green and you just stop and you're going, read my sign. Read my sign. But, at the end of the day, again, there's so many ways you can do it for cheap. But you're going to do that if you're starting your business, right? You're going to do that. You're going to do whatever you can do, right?
But you also want to be professional. I read comments. Rombo, he says he has a contract right now asking him to do all his wiring. And as much as
that's
that
a perfect
great,
opportunity, though.
And a perfect opportunity is you got to find out how much wiring he has. How consistent is it going to be? Where are you going to fill those other voids, though? Are you doing this on the side, or are you taking that leap of faith? And is this going to be, your number one contractor? But who's going to be 2 and 3 and 4 for when number one doesn't have some work? And that's like you said, you're at Home Depot putting in cards, in luminaires. You're talking to people.
Remember what I said? Never put all your eggs in one basket.
Don't ever
always
put them all
think
there.
about the next job while you're doing this job.
That's right.
Always think about the next job,
Always
because if
thinking
you're in
ahead.
business for yourself, you're always hustling. You're always going to be hustling for the next job.
Yeah.
Okay.
Always.
Jay does project walks. That about equates to every time he has to walk a project, that's his next job. He's working his next job. And you have to do the same thing. Definitely.
Yeah, I agree. And just recently, our anniversary, my wife's anniversary was November 16th. And she went out and she said, okay, go out and get what you want. This is kind of anniversary Christmas gift. And so I went to the Army surplus store and I went and bought about 10 pairs of Carhartt jeans.
Here we are. Carhartt. Man.
Back to the Carhartts. But I went ahead and bought about 10 pair of jeans, about a few vests. This is you want to play that part, right? You don't, even though you might be new or you may be just starting, you don't want to look like a bum either. People are going to respect you. And actually, this is funny because I got these because I don't know if I showed you them, but I got them from Red Wing. There's some Red Wing boots, nice and shiny with the with the toe
what you need to
protection on
get?
them.
You need to get your logo put on the front of those boots. That's what I'm talking about.
That would be pretty cool.
That would be cool.
You know what I call these boots? These are my change order boots.
Oh, they're change orders?
It's work order. These are my change order boots. These change orders are what bought these boots, and these boots continue to get change orders. People like them, man. They like them.
There you go.
So, but again, when they see you dress professionally, they like to take your opinions. Again, upselling is a big thing. Hey, I know you want to put a switch here, but maybe we put a dimmer here. I know you want to put a receptacle here, but maybe it could be a receptacle with a USB. So, if you're on that service work already.
And don't let that bother you, folks, thinking that you're selling somebody something they don't need. Everybody wants gadgets. They just don't know they exist. Okay. Surge protection devices. Okay. USB receptacle upgrades, dimmers. Don't be afraid to sell them on Alexa or Google apps or controlled automated in the house. I mean, they now have luminaires. You can put in a lot of this stuff DIYers can do, but again, you're the electrician, so you can make these recommendations. Again, it wouldn't take a whole lot, but it adds to the bottom line, right? So
Joe,
at the end of the day, now
donation that was awesome. Joe donated. Actually, donated a good $20 bill. Thanks, Joe.
Joe, thank you, Joe.
Yeah, he says Happy New Year's, Paul and Jay, Nick, Tara, Tin, Rombo, Luis, and Mrs. Grunberg.
Awesome. Thank you.
That's awesome. Yeah, we appreciate that.
Also, we'll tell you, don't forget that the IRS is always going to come knocking, right? Always going to come knocking when you're new in business. So you got to make sure that you also get an EIN number. So again, I want to make sure that people understand that. The moment you want to go in business and you're ready to get started, you need to contact and get your EIN, employer identification number. So make sure
it's a 9-digit number.
That.
My wife knows it by heart. I couldn't even tell. Right now I'm doing the process. I think I told you guys, but I'm doing a process where I've been in business now 6 years, and I'm trying to increase my cash flow, my from the bank, and it's used for like material, overhead, payroll, things like that. So I'm trying to increase that because I don't want to get too far into it because I know we're going to do New Year's resolutions next episode, but we continue to want to grow, and in order to grow, you got to invest back into your business. Sometimes,
absolutely,
and bigger jobs and more projects. So, but on the backside of this, it's difficult because they fine toothpick you, man. I mean, they're going through and they're just picking what's this number, what's that number. Where did this come from?
You
Why
would
are you
think
doing
they're more
this?
hungry these days in order to say, yeah, we'll take your, come on.
We'll just give you money.
Yeah.
No, they're serious. Not. So.
Well, that's what I also say as you get started in your business, you'll also decide whether or not you want to divest yourself out into things like generators and PV and other areas that are specialized in order to keep, again,
low voltage.
Low voltage.
Low
all
voltage.
That type
You could
of
do
stuff.
like speakers, home theater systems,
home automation, home stereo systems, surround sounds. I mean, whatever you want to go into. And that's the beautiful thing about electrical is there's so many areas that you can go into. You know what I'm saying? There's so many areas that you could invest into and be able to do.
We got the $20 club, man. Nick, 20.
Yeah, actually, we didn't do it in any given order, Elwood, but we established that you had to at least have your contractor's license in your pocket, and then the stuff that you're sitting down with the coffee and thinking about, okay, I need to have a name, because a lot of times if you're going to get your contractor's license, you also have to, if it's a contractor's license, they're going to want to know what the name is of your company.
Yes. So
you need to have your name, because when you apply for that contractor's license, you need to be at least thinking about it.
Woohoo! Another 20.
Did that come from?
I feel like I need to take a shirt off or something in here. Woohoo, baby!
Hey, Jay, keep it coming. Make it rain up in here, Miss Grunberg. Woo! Get out. Anyway, Nick, thank you.
That's a good
Joe, thank you.
There, $60.
Oh wow, they all be very, very, very generous. This after Christmas again, I appreciate all of you. That I do.
So for Christmas, I know I'm getting off topic, but for Christmas, my wife, she ended up getting me a it's a full size. Everybody knows I'm a Seahawk fan. If you don't, you do now. So my wife gives me the coolest gift I've ever got, man, and it's by my favorite Seahawks. She got me a replica helmet signed by Russell Wilson.
Awesome.
Absolute freaking awesomest gift I've ever received. And then my
Now, this
buddy,
is
my
a
best
helmet
friend,
that he was given when his head would actually fit in it.
my,
But since he's gotten on Electrician Live, his head is really grown. And so he no
big.
longer can fit in that helmet.
My buddy, my best friend got me this helmet here. It's a miniature helmet of the old school Seahawks, and it's signed by Brian Bosworth. The Boz.
The boss.
The Boz.
And that's probably about all he's good for is signing that little mini helmet these days.
So kudos to her for getting me an awesome Christmas gift, man. It was so cool.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Let's see. So since you derailed us, so that's your business. EIN.
Back on.
Got to get back on it because we're getting close to the end here. We get your business now. Again, once you get all that, you get it, and you then will select your bank. You know, you got to have a bank. You got to have your business name when you set all that stuff up. So that's again why you want to think about these things early on. Business name. What's your business model? What are you focusing on? What are you targeting? Do you want to be residential service guy, gal? Do you want to those type of things? Do you, like Jay? Jay's model might be he just wants to do basements, but he does service work. But I think if somebody came to him and said, "Hey, I got about 4 or 5 of these single family dwellings I'd like you to wire," I don't know that he would throw that business away. Might not be his normal business model, but he evolved to it. But you need to think about your business model and what you want to cover. And so, I mean, I love the concept. If I was young again and I was in an area where, I would target the niche market of basement remodels and finishing out unfinished basements like he's doing. And that's a perfect, and there's contractors out there that just do nothing but basements, high-end basements. Yep. And you can get latched up with them, hooked up with them. Don't be afraid. Oh, I'll tell you one other advertising thing real quick, Jay. It's not cheap, but it has been worthwhile, is if you get into the local network of the I can't even remember the name of them. Down daggone it. What's the name of that local? It's a local thing where you go eat lunch with them and you give your cards out and they get your cards, and somebody listening will know what it is. That is God. Wow, I couldn't even remember the name of it. But it's a local business peer-to-peer type of network.
Yeah, I think we've had those. We had little gatherings like that at churches where they would try to use you and advertise you, maybe get you in some type of magazine that gets handed out or whatnot. I used to do a thing called Blue Book, and it's more commercial based, and it was about $250 a month, and the more the more seniority you would have, you would get closer to getting those jobs. So depending on how much you wanted to spend, what category you wanted to be in, and then how consistent you were in that by paying your dues. I think we did it for about 3 years, and I got some kick butt jobs from it. But also then at the end, I didn't need them anymore.
I can't remember the name of it.
So the Blue Book is a good one for commercial.
God, I can't remember the name.
But now I saved that $250, and we've actually put it into a new van because, again, now I went from chasing the jobs to now just receiving the calls, which is very fortunate. I'm very blessed, and I can't wait till next week's episode to tell you my envisions in 2021. I can't wait. Chamber of Commerce or BBB. Yes, yep. Those are
Reach
are good
out to
ones.
those. But what is the name of this thing? You go have lunch with them. This is going to drive me crazy.
How do you determine a rate to send a few guys out for 2 days, for example, including yourself? Well, you got to put a price on yourself, Elwood. How much do you want to make? When I first came in, I was getting paid $35 as a journeyman electrician with a commercial business. So I bumped my rate up to $50. I was $50 an hour on my service. I don't know if I had a service fee right off the beginning or if it was a minimum of 2 hours. So then I knew I was getting $100 minimum plus any other material. But you just got to do the math. You got to figure out what level of experience are these guys? How much time do they have in the field? Do they have all the tools to get the job done? Because if you send 2 guys out to go do a job, you want to also make sure that it gets done in a timely manner. So really it just depends on how much your overhead is. I don't know what the cost is in your area.
I cannot find it.
But
This is going to drive me absolutely crazy.
It's a powwow, man.
It's a local. They have it everywhere. Every city has them. You go and you.
I'm just trying to figure out how to be an apprentice.
Yeah.
First,
he needs to say. Don't.
Get
hopefully, you haven't
apprenticeship
been
card.
trying to be an apprentice for 20 years because we got a show for you in a couple of weeks.
What is that? January 9th, I think.
Yeah, called Printosaurus. Don't want to do that. I can't remember the name of it, guys, but what it is, it's a business networking. It's businessing. Oh, BNI. BNI, Business Networking International. It's called BNI. It's expensive, but if you're the only electrician in that group, you have people that are actually giving out your business cards wherever they go. So you'll have carpenters, you'll have plumbers, you'll have mechanical guys, you'll have, trust me, if you milk that well, you can get a lot of business from it. Although you got to go every week for lunch, okay, once a week, and you have to buy your lunch, $20, okay, big deal. But you have to pay like a $350 annual fee to be in it or something like that. That's not much. So BNI it's just Business Networking International, and that is what that is.
Elwood says, how do you present that to the customer? If you're talking about the rate, Elwood, what you do is, or what I do is, I'm either on the phone and I explain my rate, and if they're okay with it, then I put it in an email to them and I send it over and I have them verify it or say approved for a certain date and time. So maybe I have $100 an hour for me, $100 an hour for my guy. So that's two of us. So $200 an hour, $100 service call, and any material on top of that. So again, you want to verbally get it approved, and then you want to get it in some type of email, in a contract. We didn't really talk about getting paid, but that's a big one too, because again, you're vulnerable in the beginning. You're giving out a lot to hopefully get back a little bit more. So you're not going to hit home runs every time, but make sure you have something in a written form or an email that says, okay, this is my rate. Can you accept or approve or sign a contract and send it back? That's how I would go about it.
Yeah, I mean, when I did most of my, the jobs that we did, we actually would bid the work and give a fee. We actually wouldn't break down all that. We just would give a flat fee. This is what our price was, and this is what we do it for. Sure. When I'm doing service work like that, and if I'm going out and doing service work and I set my fee, first of all, it's none of their damn business what my fee is. It's my fee is what it is. You either pay it or you don't. So when I do work, for example, it's $85 now. If I did go out and do work, it's $85 an hour. And since Texas, you can't go by the hour, because if you do, you get into a bunch of problems. So it's per the job. So it's based off $85 an hour, but I bid it for the job. So for example, if they want me to hang ceiling fans and all the luminaires, then I base it off of what I think it will take me to do that much work. And so hopefully I don't lose my butt on it, but I might figure $85 an hour times 8 hours plus the material, and that's how I would do it. I set my fee, and that was my fee. When I did projects where I would bid a house, for example, then I used software. I had a software, and I actually did that type of thing, and bid software, and I would bid it that way on it. And some people bid per certain number of dollars per square foot. That's a way to really lose your butt. If you do a really small house, it's not going to help you much. Big house, it can be skewed. You do bidding software. You can do just off a rule of thumb based on work you've done before. Say, oh, well, I did it for this and I made money, and hopefully you don't run into any things that cause you problems. You can do it per device, which I believe is what Jay does. So again, you can set a fee for device. If he's got 10 receptacles in a room, and and start thinking about it that way. Different ways to do it. We'll maybe do a show. We've done that, I think, before. If you go look in our archives, we actually did a show, something similar to that. But we'll probably touch it in 2021 again, I'm sure, at some point. Maybe we'll have a show on how to discuss rates and how to maybe pick the best rates that's for you. But I'll be honest with you, I never let the customer dictate my rate. I'd be willing to walk away. That's always been my policy. If I get somebody and I say I'm $85 an hour because of my burden, that's what I have to be. If I had a helper with me, then I have to know what I have to pay them. And then I have my burden to meet his taxes and his requirements. And this is what my pay is. Because you have to know what you want, right? You have to know what at the end of the day you want to take home as far as your profit margin, minus any of your burdens and things like that. If somebody were to say, I don't want to pay that, then you just go, okay, bye-bye. I'm not into it. Now, I never charged a fee to come out. Jay charges, I think, now a fee to come out. I charge a minimum of 1 hour, or I used to charge a minimum of 1 hour. So whatever you want me to do in that 1 hour, you got me for 1 hour. If I come out there to replace a GFCI receptacle because you have two of them in series and you forgot that the one's in the other bedroom or in the other bathroom and you trip and you can't figure out how to reset it, and all I do is make a visit to you and push the reset button on the one that you can't find in the other bathroom, you're still going to pay an hour. So you're still going to pay my fee. My brother had a hard time with that. He used to say, how could I do that? I'm only there for 5 minutes. How could I hit him with an $85 fee? I'm like, there's a difference between me and you. I have no problem hitting you with an $85 fee.
$85 fee is cheap to reset a GFI. Actually, you think about it, you're driving out there, the time you're taken away from the time you enter into your work vehicle, drive out there, meet the individual, get familiar about the job, walk it. I mean, you've already invested almost an hour right there alone. Mm-hmm. Then you're finally, just because you put your tools on for maybe a minimum of 10, 15 minutes. Jay, and then you still got to drive home.
I never really thought of it that way. When I had this argument with my brother about it, he would say, I just didn't feel right doing it. You're right. You got your time invested in it, right?
You got your time invested. I just did a service call Christmas Eve. A guy calls me up from Charlie's Philly cheesesteak. He says, Jay, I need you to replace a plug. I said, okay, man, it's going to be double time. He said, I'll pay you double time and I'll give you free food. I said, I'm in. So I went in and sold $400, 30 minutes worth of work. And I still have to make one additional trip, but we won't get into that. And 5 free meals. Booyah. And 2 free large strawberry lemonades.
Boom.
So, and the wife came. They were walking the mall. They came back out, got them lemonade. So perfect. I like to see this as a benefit of being in the trade for a little bit. These little nuggets that you get for service calls, But the chat's going off right now.
I think the brains behind the outfit is the one who figured all that out there, and I think that was, Miss Grunberg.
Yes, She was, because I was similar to your brother in the beginning. I didn't want to overgouge, but I also didn't realize how valuable my time was. And my time.
If you're going to leave your house, you're going to go, and even if you just push the button to reset it, I'm going to also, everybody's different, but I'm also going to explain to the owner, look, you have a GFCI in the other room. You have the one in here. Just remember, you got the one. Now, I could also say to them, you know what? I can replace the GFCI that's downstream if you want with a regular receptacle because it's protected upstream. If you want me to do that, I can do that for you. You don't have to worry about this again. But now you do know it's up there. You know how to reset it. I'll leave that up to you, And I have been known to tell other people while I'm there is never miss an opportunity to gain another sale. So I might say, while I'm here, would you like me to do a 10-point electrical system check? I'll go check your panel, make sure everything looks good inside of it. That's up to you. I'm here. You're paying for the hour. Okay. Now, if you want to protect your rate per hour, so that you can walk away going, damn, I got $85 and I was there 10 minutes. Whereas if you stay there for 45 minutes because you're explaining something, you're doing a couple things. For me, if your personality is a well-received personality, you would be surprised. Because I'm going to tell you right now, I've gone to a job where that happened. And I was spent an extra 35, 40 minutes there with them, explaining stuff. Dude, I had the neighbors work. I had their father-in-laws work. I had their cousins work. They called me for everything. And they are your biggest advocates.
Yes.
Oh, he's such a great young man. He was so caring. And you are. You take care of him. I'm going to get paid.
Yeah.
but I'm there to help them out. Dude, I gained, you wouldn't believe. And I was like, dude, give me those older customers that don't know anything all the time. I'm getting paid. But I was really doing work for them, so I wasn't gouging them. No. They're looking for somebody to be a resource for them. Yeah. Now, my brother is a master at this because he not only does electrical, but he's a builder and he does plumbing, mechanical. He can do it all. You would not be surprised. Look at Nick. Nick, you're fairly new to this Electrician Live. I don't know that you actually have grown the right to razz me like that. Maybe you have. Okay. Anyway, yes, you have. So at the end of the day, maybe it was for 80-year-old people, Nick, and I am a young man. Okay. Plus it has been a while back. All right. So, but anyway, my brother do it. And next thing you know, I've been with my brother when he's gotten calls. And this is the old man that left a message on his phone one day. Sweetest thing. Todd, I was sitting there and I listened to it and he goes, "Hey, Todd, this is so-and-so. I haven't seen you." And I get kind of antsy when I haven't seen you about every month. I've got some things I need you to have done and all this kind of stuff. And I looked at Todd and I'm like, he's like, "Yeah, I'll call him later." I'm like, "Todd, this old man loves you." I mean, and Todd he'll do anything for him. He fixes toilets. Sure. I mean, he'll fix anything for him. Me, I ain't touching that crap. I'm electrical. But the point being is you never know where your next job's going to come from. Yeah. Again, like Nick said, it can be the best thing, but it can also be the worst thing if you're just crappy, just if you're mouthy, just real arrogant. If you don't want to be out there tonight. Sometimes you go out and you're like in an attitude. But when you get to that job, you need to be like, "Yes, ma'am." Whatever you want, ma'am.
What's nice about having the word of mouth and getting into that group, like you were saying, maybe 15, 20 people is now you can start with the first one that referenced them. And you can say, "Hey, next time you need electrical done, I'm going to give you 10% off or 15% off every referral." I mean, you can start making up your own, I don't want to say discounts, but your own rewards for other people getting you more jobs. So now you're not the only one getting them for you. "Hey, I got a cousin who needs this. Give them a call." Okay, cool. Go to the cousin's house, do some work. You could even do the work for full price and at the end go, "You know what? If you give me a 5-star review right now, I'll cut you 5% off." Mm-hmm. All you got to do is log on right now. Give me 5 stars, 5-star review.
Dude, let me tell you a funny story. I got a job using the Home Depot app. It contacted me. I got a job putting in this luminaire for this older lady. She was a widow. And I went out and I hung a light for her. And I must have hung a different light 4 times in that same location for that woman over a year. She just kept saying, "I didn't like it. I want another." I swear she just wanted to look at my butt while I was on a ladder. I'm just saying.
Oh, my goodness.
I'm just saying I'm sexy like that. But I swear she would call me and she'd say, "Paul, I just don't like that light." I didn't pick the light out. I'm like, "Okay, what do you want to do?" She'd go, Can you come out and I got another one. I picked up another one from Home Depot or whatever it was. I'm like, "Okay, I'll come out." And I'd hang that light, and then I'd get another call a couple months later. Yeah, I didn't like that light. I know one lady that I got a call from.
If you can make money off your booty legally.
That was legally, man.
Without having to take your clothes off.
How many times well, she's a widow, but she was still kind of hot. Oh, so man. I actually, did I say that? Are we live? Did I say that? Anyway, I did one job I'm just giving you examples of this Home Depot app a couple years ago where I hung a chandelier and they literally didn't like the chandelier. I mean, they liked it then, but the husband come home or whatever and he didn't like it. And
oh no.
Yeah, he didn't like it. So they called me out and it was my fault. I didn't pick it. And I hung a different one. And then the husband's there and he goes, "Can you do other things? Because I don't want to go through the Home Depot." That type of thing. Can you? I was like, "Yeah, what do you want done?" And he's like, "Oh, well, I want ceiling fans put in all the bedrooms and I want, these receptacles." He said, "I don't like these receptacles. I want a Decora." And I'm like, "Oh, okay." He said, "I want to freshen it up." And I'm like, "Yeah, don't go through the Home Depot app. Come to me." I mean, you just be surprised what you can get. And again, and you're starting up your business, take whatever you can get. but also understand that there are limitations. The things then you got to get used to, because you'll take some things and I tell you one other. I did a job a couple years ago, and I used this app. Remember, I'm telling you free ways to do things. I was always great at trying to find free ways. Let Go. There's a Let Go app that's on your phone. You got to be careful because there's some whack jobs out there now. And but I put an ad on whackjob.com. Now, I put an ad on Let Go, and a lady called me. And as many years as I've been doing this, I went out to do the job and she got her luminaires from Wayfair, right? So they were already there waiting for me. I put this luminaire in, and I'm pulling everything out of the box and pulling everything out. And I pick up this little bag that has one of the rods in it. And it's almost like slow motion. I pick it up, and the rod slips out of the bag. And it's like slow motion. It's like, no. And guess what? It falls on one of the globes. And here I am in front of this lady in this house, and it's just a freak accident, how it happened. Point being is I'm hanging her light now, and one of the globes are broken, right? So, I end up, so in that point, what I did out of that, I said, ma'am, I'll take care of it. I contacted Let Go. I got her another globe ordered right away, and I had to make an extra trip. And I had to take care of my screw up. But you take care of that customer, because she ended up sending it to her daughter, and I ended up doing stuff for her daughter in her daughter's house. God, you'd be surprised. So when I did that little thing where I used a flyer and door hanger and I would hit neighborhoods, dude, you'd be surprised at the work you'd get. And you got something from them, you used them as a referral for the neighbor across the street or somewhere else and whatever. It just rolled one into other. But that's small stuff. Okay, that's service work. If you want to be a contractor and do roughing in houses or doing commercial work, you're going to have to start small, unless you get somebody like Rombo that's going to, give you an opportunity like that. Or don't be afraid to contact builders and say, look, I just want an opportunity. I give you a fair price.
Yeah. And you guys provide all the material, have it on site, tell them what you need. Mm-hmm. Maybe you get them to provide the material from you.
I like to provide them the material because I want to get some markup. But if they want to, if that's how it takes to get started.
What I'm saying, if you don't have the finance to do it, and maybe you're doing these homes and you're doing 5 or 6 of them, and again, you think of rough in a house with new service, arc fault breakers, so on and so forth to complete a house, you're at $2,000, if not more, maybe even 3, just for material alone. So
I noticed Manresa Electric says that they used to use Let Go. I didn't know it was not in business anymore, but they also have another one called Offer Up. Just Offer, OFFER Up, and they do the same type of thing. Just shady people on there. Don't ever try to buy a car on Offer Up, because you can get a brand new car for like $14.99. Something about that seems like possibly it's a little shady. I'm just saying. Anyway,
what is it, Manresa?
Manresa Electric LLC.
I dollars to donut. That's his last name. And I bet he ran with it, which is awesome. That's a simple name. As well. Good job. Where are you out of? He said yes. You need to sell tangible items though. What's he referring to? Oh, on those
Offer Up. Yeah, I think I did get in trouble a couple of times. I sold services. He's in New York, so I think. But there's the other alternative to that is to get on Facebook and get in the marketplace. And you can offer things in the marketplace as well. And many of them, like garage sales, they have for garage sales or yard sale, but they'll have on there where it'll say no advertising, and then some of them will say it's just open for everything. And you just keep running an ad on there. Do a discount coupon or your business card or something like that. That works kind of as well too. I got plenty of business from that when I was starting up. And even back in the day when I started back in the 80s, we didn't have those things. So the door-to-door, the flyers, those type of things, the business cards, and we didn't even have Vistaprint, right? Back then, I had to use a local printer who would print them for me. that type of thing, printing place. Seth, real quick question. Could you explain AFCI, and CAFCI?
We have an episode on that.
Are able to differentiate the two types of arcing types. I'm not so sure what a CAFCI is, but AFCI I'm not sure what.
I think it's a combination.
Oh, you're talking about combo?
CAFCI, so combo.
So the AFCI and what's called as no combination AFCI. So I'll explain it real quick. How about that, Jay? I'll do a quickie here on the show, and we'll end it in business. But wait a minute. Before I do that, stick around, Seth. Let's make sure we're covering all this business type of things. So get your websites as well. Pick your name. Get your insurances. Get your EIN. Get your bank account, whether it had $1 in it or whatever the minimum is to get you established. That's why I said have your business name. Kind of think about it up front. Then think about all the places you can advertise that you want to advertise, and try to keep it at a budget so that everything you make is not, you have more coming in than going out, although that's the way it's going to be when you start out. More is going to go out. Insurances can be cheap. Again, Next Insurance, Google it. NEXT Insurance, cheap for electricians. Cheap. Like I said, I pay mine. It's $32, $34 a month. And that's it. It's pretty darn good coverage, too. These $2 million aggregate or whatnot and a bunch of different, so it's not that bad. There is a schedule, Reese. There is a schedule over on electricianlive.com. Go to electricianlive.com. You'll see all of our upcoming shows, different topics, and we got a lot more coming in 2021. Going to kind of retool the look a little bit in 2021. Yeah. Jay doesn't even know what it's going to look like. So I'm going to do that.
The shows are going to be great, though. We're going to get down to the nuts and bolts on some of them, which are going to be fun.
Yep. So let's see, where are we wrapping this thing up? Get your EIN. Again, business model, focus on what you want to target, niche. Yeah. Okay, that type of thing. Definitely hit that bell. Follow us on, I don't know, there's no bell over on Master NEC, but there is a bell right here on the YouTube channel. Subscribe, share it with your friends. I want you all to be viral. That means go out on every social media network you can and tell them that Paul's the greatest and Jay's the greatest thing since sliced bread. We know that you'll get a lot of haters for that, but anyway, do it and let everybody know about the show, because I don't know of any other show that runs live in the electrical industry. Okay. I do know that in 2021, we're going to try to incorporate more guests to be with us. Just like we had, a couple weeks ago, we had a Marty Schumacher with us. Awesome show. Marty's a super, super, super guy. Okay. Definitely. No, we don't know viral diseases up in here. God. Leave it to
But also call in, you guys. Manresa Electric, I'd love to hear from you maybe next episode. Call in, maybe, because there's going to be a topic of what we want going on. Don't message Jay. He doesn't respond
Look at Nick. But don't message Jay, because he doesn't know how to return calls.
You messaged me once, and I think I covered you on the air, so forgive me.
No.
Forgiveness, Nick.
Yes, that's his New Year's resolution. Forgiveness. Giveth to receiveth.
What are we doing? The second, we're doing a show on 2020 or 2021 goals for business.
Yeah, January 2nd is our New Year's resolution show.
New Year's resolution. So Manresa, you should call in and tell us yours, because I know you as a contractor, you probably have some good stuff too. So
what do you want to do?
Hopefully you call in.
Yep. I will tell you this. Jay, I listened to a good podcast today. Let me give a shout out real quick to Three Phase Radio. We have Jeff who does that over on Three Phase Radio, threephaseradio.com. Check him out. He did a podcast that's called, it's kind of, think of yourself as a start-stop station with a start, a stop, and I can't remember what the other one. Sorry, Jeff, if you're listening. I did listen, but it's about things that you would like to start, things that you'd like to stop doing, or ask other people to tell you, Jay, what do you want me to stop doing in 2021 that I do that drives you crazy? Is it interrupting you? Did you like me to stop? Is that what you stop? And then the third one, I think, was it was like peep or whatever. And I'm sorry, Jeff. I did listen. I got so much crap going on, and but anyway, the point was, there's other great podcasts out there to listen to, and Three Phase Radio is one of them. So check it out. Go to your popular podcast thing and just search for Three Phase Radio. Jeff's a great guy. Dustin, he doesn't really do podcasts anymore, but he does his videos, and he does a great job with those as well. So there's other ones out there as well that do a great job. Oh, I should say, I'm going to stop updating software before the show. That is one of my New Year's resolutions. It popped up, and I should have never done it because I don't have any control of anything on this show. I'm just turn the camera on and let it go. Great show coming up, a great series coming up in 2021. If you haven't subscribed yet to the YouTube channel, it is Electrical Blunders. Okay, and I gave Jay a bit of a sneak peek of it today, kind of like the concept of what the show's going to be like. What'd you think? Do you think it was good, Jay?
Oh, I think it was great. I think it's going to be a big hit.
Cool. So we got that coming up.
We're going to get some good knowledge from it. Don't air any of my videos though.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. Do you do any?
I used to. I used to have a guy who actually came in as an apprentice, but he was really good at web design and all that good stuff. Anyways, he'd do live little shows, put them on Instagram, Facebook. We'd get hits, man. It was actually a really good deal.
Mm-hmm. We don't talk about that individual here, Ron. Okay, we don't talk about that. And since you spelt his last name wrong, that makes me feel better. Hold on.
Ron, just stick with us, Ron.
Just stick with us. Stick with Master the NEC.
On the other side, brother.
Stick with Master the NEC. You'll learn all you want to learn about electrical code.
I'll tell you what, Ron, you text me on Facebook. I'll get back to you right away. You just text me, Ron. I got you. I got you.
I like Caleb. Who? Like who? Anyway, no, actually is a good resource, and I've known him for years, so all fairness. Anyway, that's kind of it. Those are kind of starting your business. After that, we really can't, there's not a whole lot of advice we can give you beyond that. Get out there and get at it. And again, be hungry. Always look for new business. Yeah. Always be looking for new opportunity. Don't be too humble. Okay. So, yes, I was. How did you know that?
And I only unsubscribed from Jay. You're stuck with me, Nick.
I'm not sure how he knew I was that. How he was. Anyway, I got too much information out on the internet. That's for sure. All right. So anyway, once it makes it to the internet, it's there forever. Right?
You're stuck.
Even some of my videos from way back in the day when I looked like. I ain't skinny now, but man, that was big. Anyway, I'm still not small, but I'm not.
I didn't hear from Eric tonight. Hopefully Eric's watching. Eric, if you're watching.
Yeah. Yep, Eric. I can't remember where he was from. Is it Hawaii?
I think he's in Hawaii, yeah. Okay. I'm not sure where he's from, but
starting
I think he's
his
in
business.
Hawaii doing PV stuff, so
yeah.
Pretty good.
Nick, if God help you if I'm your inspiration, but again, hopefully I help you in whatever way I can. I'll always try to help the best I can, brother. Definitely. And as we bring Jay into this fold of educators, and he's learning. He's in the residential program over on our Code Academy. It's doing well in that. I'm sure he'll move on from there to commercial or grounding and bonding. I don't know which one he'll move on to next. But there's great programs for that we have over on our academy. So that's what we try to do. So anyway, I don't know that this was a successful show, Jay, with the business, starting a business. We went all over the place, but hopefully people got something out of that. And sorry for the distraction with the screens and the computer. I had all intentioned purposes that I had to have some neat stuff pop up on the screen. But as Joe has shown me, I should not update anything right before I do a show. It sure enough will screw everything up. Okay? So, no doubt about it.
Well, we appreciate everybody donating today, too. I think this was the highest donation we've had
Yeah.
So it's a way to end the season and go into 2021. What is it, $65? That's pretty awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
And each one of you, do they get one of the flashlights that you have, or does that go out to those?
So everybody that donated, send me, like Nick, send me your email, your physical address. Just email me. Jay or Mrs. Grunberg or whoever's in there want to put info at masterthenec.com in the chat and send it to me. Email me. I will more than happy to get you out there a flashlight or the screwdriver or this light, the neuralizer. Boop, boop. It's magnets. You can put it under your car or whatever you want to do. You know, do. Okay, so I'm gonna do that. So now, without further ado, I have to get back to the question that was given, that was asked by Seth, so I don't forget what that question was. Now, Seth asked me to explain what an AFCI and a CAFCI is. Now, I'm going to assume when you say CAFCI, you're talking about you have a combination AFCI, and then you have what's called just a branch circuit feeder AFCI. Two differences. Okay, so a branch AFCI, which is what we used to have before we had combination. So the branch, which has been around for a while, in fact, AFCI has been around since 1999. They made it into the code and got really fully enforced in 2002, right? So AFCI is the old branch feeder style, and you can tell by looking at the end of it, it'll tell you branch feeder. Okay. They're not looking for series arcs. It's only looking for parallel arcs. And what's the difference? A parallel arc is when you have two conductors, let's say a black and a white and non-metallic sheath cable, or you have an extension cord and you've got both the hot ungrounded conductor and a grounded neutral conductor, and they're in the same cable assembly, and a door crushes it or something comes across it, and now you've got damage between these conductors. So the arc that goes from one conductor to another, irrelevant to the load, it's just across conductors, that is called a parallel arc. And that arc isn't dependent by the load because the circuit's creating its own load at that arc. So over time, that arc heats up, and that causes anything around it to pyrolyze, and it catches on fire. So a branch feeder AFCI, the older style, is simply looking for that, but it was not looking for a series arc. So what's a series arc? So a series arc is anytime you have, say, that one black wire that's in that extension cord or NMB, and that one black wire gets broken and it's barely touching. That arc that goes across is in series with the conductor, so it is very limited by the load. In other words, for load to be flowing, you have to have something plugged in the end. If it's just a receptacle, then nothing's going to flow because it stops at the lug, right, at the terminal. But if you have something plugged in it like a luminaire, then current will flow. And so what happens is it creates an arc right there because it's going to try to bridge that. And that is going to cause an arc, and that is called a series arc. The other location that this happens all the time is at poor terminations, where you didn't terminate it right onto a lug, you didn't torque it like you're supposed to, or you did something and wrapped it wrong and it's not making good contact. And now load is going through the circuit because it's very load dependent. Now it arcs to complete that circuit, and that arc is a series arc. So the branch feeder is only looking for parallels. The combination AFCIs are looking for both parallels and series arcs. It's looking for both conditions. Okay, so that's the main difference. And of course, you have out there what's called dual function. And a dual function AFCI is not only AFCI, but is also GFCI. So it's got both built into it. So it's got the arc characteristics for series and parallels, but it also covers GFCI requirements in 210.8 of the NEC as well, and the other areas in the code which require GFCI protection. So it does both. But don't confuse the word combination with anything to do with GFCI, because it has nothing to do with that. It has combination is parallel and series arcs. Dual function devices cover AFCIs and GFCIs. Okay. Yeah. Now they do
say it on the breaker.
Yep, it'll say right on it. And for most applications in 210.12a, the locations you're going to have for that branch circuit, in those locations specified, it's going to have to be a combination type. Now there does give you other allowances. So even today, I'm allowed to use a branch feeder AFCI as well now. But at the first receptacle, I have to put in a AFCI of the outlet type. Okay. So it's an outlet type. It looks like a GFCI receptacle, but it's an AFCI receptacle. Okay. So I'd have those. So this one, the breaker will cover the parallel, but then the receptacle will cover series upstream and parallel downstream. Okay. So there you go. That's why you would have those receptacle versions. Okay. And the code gives you a bunch of allowances in that type of thing. Okay. So I don't know. Hopefully, Seth, that explains it to you and gave you a better understanding. If it didn't, feel free to let me know. But hopefully that explains it to gives you the understanding of it. Okay. Now I'm going to hopefully it did. Hopefully that explained it best I can. Seth, let me know you got it and you're okay.
That's good.
And I explained it in a way that you understood it. Hopefully you
Yeah, and I think we have a video on arc faults too that was part of the Electrician Live this year. We did, I don't know if it was a 1 or 2 part series, but we did AFCIs, and then the next week I think we did GFCIs.
Oh, so yeah. I think we do have some. If you go back
and look,
go back and look at some older videos that we have for the Electrician Live on the YouTube channel, and you go into that's another thing. When people go watching our videos, they think that what they see on the first screen is all the videos and podcasts. If you go to the top right and click the archive, you can actually go back and see that we've been doing this for quite a few years. And so a lot of the information is still relevant. Okay. A lot of the topics I talk about are still relevant. Okay. I got a whole series on transformers, whole series on motors, pools and spas, and all types of topics that I've covered through the years. Okay. Those type of things. I've been doing videos and podcasts before they were even called podcasts, all the way back in 2004. So I don't have videos back that far. I don't think anybody wants to see those videos. But we have those type of things. Penny for your fuse? No. That's why we put in S fuses, so you can't put the pennies in there. Okay, so you put the type S fuse Edison base, and then you can't worry about nobody doing the penny trick. All right. So, anything else you want to give, Jay? I'm just talk. Anything you want to share with anybody?
Oh, no, guys. I hope you guys have a good rest of your year, and we'll see you on the 2nd.
Perfect. All right. I guess that's it. Till next time, folks, stay safe and God bless.
You're listening to Electrician Live with your host, Paul Abernathy and Jay Grunberg.